newsrooms in Eugene, Roseburg, and Coos Bay. Kval News at 6 starts now.
I am not asking you, I am telling you to stop your social gatherings.
Governor Kate Brown announcing a statewide 2-week freeze. This as Oregon saw its second single-day report of more than 1,000 new cases of coronavirus. Good evening, I'm Jacqueline Fernandez. Now let's take a look at exactly what the governor's announcement means. The freeze will limit both indoor and outdoor social gatherings to no more than 6 people from no more than 2 households. Bars and restaurants will be operating only for takeout and delivery services. Gyms and other fitness studios will be closed, and grocery stores and pharmacies can only operate at a maximum of 75% capacity.
Whether we like it or not, we're about to face what might be the roughest days of the pandemic. If we want to give Oregonians a fighting chance, we must take further measures to flatten the curve now.
These statewide restrictions will last until December 2nd, but the governor says it is very likely these restrictions will be put in place for at least 4 weeks in Multnomah County, where cases are the highest. Taking a closer look now at the latest numbers from the pandemic, today the Oregon Health Authority reported just over 1,000 new confirmed and presumptive cases. There were also 7 new deaths, bringing the statewide death toll to 753. Multnomah County had the highest number of new cases at 247. Now, with the freeze in place, we wanted to hear from local business owners on how they're going to handle this second shutdown. Kval's Keely McCormick actually broke the news of the shutdown to a few business owners today. Keely, unfortunately, not very good news on this Friday the 13th.
Jacqueline, a lot of businesses told me they're worried about dealing with another financial hit. For restaurants, drive-thrus, takeout, and online orders will still be allowed, but that won't bring in the money that they're used to seeing. The Oregon Restaurant and Lodging Association is asking for $75 million from the state to help out these struggling businesses.
Limiting restaurants and bars to takeout only. Okay.
This is Edson Clements, the manager at Glenwood. He told me his restaurant really got a hang of takeout and online orders during the first shutdown. But he didn't expect to deal with that financial hit again this soon.
So I would say the food orders that we get in, that's going to take a hit.
A lot of his regulars are older people. He lost their business in the beginning of the pandemic and hasn't seen it back since. I also spoke to the owner at Play It Again Sports. Not only does he have to move sales online, but his inventory isn't a hot purchase right now.
It's been kind of a long year with no sports moving.
During the first shutdown, he relied on bike and outdoor gear sales, which he says kept them afloat because it was the beginning of warm weather. Now he's hoping for snow so people have a reason to get outdoor gear. Many are worried not only about businesses, but also if they can work. One woman I spoke to said she's going to have to go back to unemployment checks. And Clements thinks they'll be operating with a much smaller crew. Again, those new restrictions take effect on November 18th. Glenwood and Play It Again Sports said they'll use this time to prepare. Back to you.
All right, Keely, thanks for that report. We're also hearing from restaurant owners who are questioning the effectiveness of the freeze. Sam Gross owns Loggers Tap House in Roseburg. He doesn't think 2 weeks is long enough to measure effectiveness and says it will be difficult for restaurants even if this second shutdown only lasts 2 weeks.
Every restaurant in the state's going to have to lay off front of house staff. A lot of them are going to have to lay off kitchen staff again. And we all know how hard it was to navigate the unemployment system the first time.
Gross tells us this freeze comes with no financial support like the PPP program they had the first time. He may have to lay off employees as well. In a full-service restaurant, Gross says servers don't have a job if customers can't dine in. The Oregon Employment Department says it's preparing for an influx of claims because of this freeze. At the beginning of the pandemic, people struggled to get their benefits in a timely manner, and some even waited for months. But Acting Director David Gerstenfeld says the department is better prepared now and is ready to respond. The department says it's preparing to increase its claims processing capacity. Employers will also have the option to submit employee information in bulk to ensure that key information is easy to find. On top of this freeze, the governor also announcing a travel advisory recommending anyone visiting or returning home to Oregon quarantine for 14 days. Washington Governor Jay Inslee and California Governor Gavin Newsom issued the advisory for their states as well. We spoke with a woman leaving PDX for Kansas today to be with family for the holidays. She says she thought the quarantine request seemed a bit extreme.
It just seems like a lot more than what needs to be done. We're all wearing masks as it is, and I mean, we're social distancing. Requiring 14 days quarantine just seems to be overkill, and it's going to harm businesses as people can't get back to work. It's going to harm paychecks.
In addition to the quarantine, all 3 states are also urging people not to take any non-essential trips. Today, the president gave an update on Operation Warp Speed, the program that is funding multiple vaccine developments. President Trump announced a vaccine produced by Pfizer is showing 90% effectiveness in trial. And while Oregon is about to start a 2-week freeze, the president made it clear he will not be enforcing any federal or nationwide lockdown.
Ideally, we won't go to a lockdown. I will not go. This administration will not be going to a lockdown. Hopefully, the whatever happens in the future, who knows which administration it will be. I guess time will tell. But I can tell you this administration will not go to a lockdown.
President Trump also says 5,000 units of the antibody therapy from Eli Lilly have been shipped and will be distributed soon. PPE supplies are showing up on the ground in parking lots and even oceans. Today, we spoke with the Oregon field manager of the Surfrider Foundation, an organization geared toward keeping our shores clean along the Oregon coast. The foundation says during recent cleanups, they're finding a lot of discarded masks and gloves in the water.
Having these PPE items, especially the masks that have a loop, animals can get entangled in them. And there's been some viral photos that have been shared around social media of birds in particular getting stuck in these mask loops.
Coming up tonight at 11, we'll hear from Lane County Public Health and their solution to discarded PPE with help from the Eugene Public Works. Following our storm watch tonight, like most of the coast, there were down power lines in Coos Bay. Pacific Power took the lines down at this house. The line went down in the yard and was also in the road. The owner of the property says he's never had anything like this happen, and the pole holding the lines seems sturdy.
There's not much resistance from the winds in this particular lot, so it looked like it just was too much. And yeah, you know, I try and park the vehicles so that they're not in line of any possible threat, and we narrowly avoided it this time.
He says Pacific Power arrived quickly, and fortunately, his house still has power. High winds brought down small trees and limbs in Florence, leaving about 3,500 people without power this morning. And snow covered Baker City this morning as well. This is the first big snowfall of the season for eastern Oregon. Dark clouds raced across the sky for much of the day. Now western Oregon prepares for round 2. Kval's chief meteorologist Josh Cozart explains in a first look in our forecast. Hey, Josh.
And Jacqueline, we've really had a lot to talk about from the coast to the Cascades, and I want to take a look out of North Bend. Susan sent me in this photo of her gazebo, and she said it's only been up for 6 months, and the wind quickly took care of that early this morning. If you have photos to share with us, head over to kval.com/chime in, as we've seen a lot of sites with downed trees across some major roadways, just like out of Florence from Jen White. And those max wind speeds were definitely gusty out along the coast. 62-mile-per-hour gusts near Newport and Gold Beach from earlier today. 20-plus-mile-per-hour winds through the I-5 corridor. We did manage to see quite a bit of rainfall, upwards of an inch in Corvallis and the Newport regions. And a few raindrops still falling overhead from the Willamette Valley down to the Umpqua Valley with a few claps of lightning and thunder. But round 2 is making its way back to western Oregon. I'll have that timeline in just a few.
That's our target. That's what we're shooting for, and this sure helps.
The snow is piling up on Mount Hood. Resorts are getting ready to open as soon as they can. More storms might be just the thing to keep the mountain economy going despite the pandemic. K2's Joe English from our sister station was at government camp today and tells us when they might open.
Crews are harvesting snow in the parking lots at Mount Hood Meadows, piling it up, loading it up, and hauling it up the mountain to build up a healthy base. Now, typically, the resorts want to be open for the Thanksgiving holiday.
It'll blow you away.
Dave Tragathon from Mount Hood Meadows says the target right now is the day after. Well, the next storm looks to be a little warmer. That could mean rain instead of snow, but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
So our goal right now is to pack all of that snow down, make it, fortify it, so that the rain does come, it sheds off, and it doesn't just wash it all away. So that's what we're watching. We have to look at the storm, not this one, not next week, but what's coming after that.
In a good snow year, Meadows and Timberline Lodge could see about 5,000 people a day apiece. With COVID restrictions, that number is expected to be down to about 3,000, possibly less with the latest word from the governor. Well, it might be enough to keep mountain businesses open, but if the snow keeps up like this, well, nobody can blame the weather or the efforts by the resorts to get that snow where it needs to be.
Another load, and we'll keep doing that, and especially focus on the bottom of the lifts to get that lift maze nice and big, because this is the year of the social distance. We need a lot of room in order to run our lifts this year.
Wow, looks like it's really coming down out there. That was Joe English reporting for us. Timberline Lodge plans to open November 25th. Managers say if you have Thanksgiving dinner plans arranged, they'll get in touch with you. Roseburg police are still investigating tonight after several suspicious objects were found at Roseburg High School yesterday. The Oregon State Police Explosives Unit was called in to investigate when a custodian found the objects in the parking lot. As of this morning, they still don't know what they're dealing with, but according to RPD, they appear to be modified fireworks. Police tell us they expect to identify the objects sometime next week.
They appeared to be some kind of improvised, for lack of a better term, improvised device. They had black tape on them and they had some fuse sticking out of them.
Eichenbusch says they were about the size of a C battery. Police don't believe the devices had an intended target. City of Roseburg is looking at a new way to address homelessness in the community. Last week, the City Council made the decision to allow overnight vehicle camping within city limits. There will be a maximum of 3 locations that can hold 6 cars each. Each property must be owned by a nonprofit, public, or commercial entity.
So one of the requirements is that it cannot be in a residential zone, so it cannot be a private residence, it has to be in a commercial zone, and it cannot be located in or near a residential zone.
Property owners can't charge a fee. No tents or camps are allowed, and property owners must provide a garbage container. To see the full list of rules or to apply, visit the City of Roseburg's website. Coming up on Kval News, the pavilion at Stewart Park in Roseburg is getting a makeover. Learn more about upcoming improvements. Plus, China congratulating President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. Hear from a foreign ministry spokesperson. And
a new Congress brings new challenges for Democrats set to control the White House and the U.S. House. I'm Atrell Nashar in Capitol Hill with signs of a growing divide in the party.